always on your side. This is First Coast News at 11.
Now at 11, by air, by water, and on foot, the rescues continue by the hundreds from homes in the Carolinas as Florence floodwaters continue to rise. The former hurricane, now tropical storm Florence, is sitting on the Carolina region, barely moving and bringing dangerous flooding. We're getting views from above of some of the high-rising and sometimes fast-moving water. This is video of New Bern, North Carolina, where, as you can see, communities are submerged. And it's not just humans trying to escape. Look at Jacksonville, North Carolina, where a camera caught this herd of deer trying to cross a flooded road to higher ground. And in Mount Olive, North Carolina, dramatic footage showing raging floodwaters washing out a road. That flooding has also shut down parts of I-95, including a 16-mile stretch near Fayetteville. That is closed until at least tomorrow morning. Transportation officials say many road conditions are worsening as the storm dumps water while moving at barely a walking pace. Florence has claimed the lives of at least 9 people, although some reports put that number at 11. Good evening, I'm Jeff Ballin. Thanks for being with us. Storm expert Lauren Rautenkrantz is here now. And Lauren, like we're talking about, this is such a slow-moving storm. Literally, people walk faster than this storm is moving, and it's so big.
It is so massive. I mean, the rain bands are actually reaching from inland North Carolina, like the mountains, all the way offshore of the Carolinas. So it's roughly about 400 miles if you look at it from west to east. Now, as of the 11 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center, this is a minimal tropical storm. However, no matter what Florence is named at this point, the rainfall forecast is not going to change. Still expecting major flood levels, potentially record flood levels for many of our Carolina rivers. It's moving at about 3 miles per hour, so it picked up 1 mile per hour since the 5 o'clock advisory. But again, it is going to continue to make that loop inland across South Carolina, back up into North Carolina, possibly eastern Tennessee, and then it'll make that loop once it gets picked up by the jet stream. So again, not expected to be a tropical storm for a whole lot longer, but I do want to show you some pictures that are coming in and some videos. This particularly comes from the Boiling Spring Lakes area. This is just outside of Wilmington, North Carolina, along the Cape Fear, and this dam actually failed because of the amount of water that has been dumped across the area. Thankfully, according to police in this area, no one was harmed. However, it's not going to help the ongoing situation with the rain still falling. Of course, roads are impassable in many spots, so it is not safe to travel back home yet. If you're watching us maybe from South or North Carolina tonight, hang tight. We've got some hot and sunny weather here tomorrow. We'll talk about that in just a moment, Jeff.
Wow, that video of the dam failing there is just hard to believe. Now, the rising waters in North Carolina will continue to climb for several days, but in many areas right now, there's nowhere for it to go. NBC's Jay Gray is in hard-hit Carolina Beach, North Carolina, with a look at the flooding there.
A day later, the effects of Florence are no longer measured by wind or water. The storm now being blamed for at least 9 deaths, including a mother and her infant child who died when a tree fell onto their home in Wilmington. The storm has lost a bit of its power, but none of its punch.
We face walls of water at our coast, along our rivers, across farmland, in our cities, and in our towns.
Stalled over the Carolinas, the massive weather system continues, dumping record amounts of rain in many areas measured by feet, not inches.
We're going to see areas flood that have not flooded before.
Rivers and tributaries are spilling over their banks, pushing water into places it's never been before, and more is on the way. Rescues continue in New Bern, the city ravaged by a 10-foot storm surge.
It was horrifying. Just wondering what's going on and where the water's going to go and how high it's going to go and how we are going to get out.
Across what is an expanding strike zone, trees and electrical lines are down, hundreds of thousands without power, tens of thousands in shelters. Everyone, everything here, trying to escape the rising water. Jay Gray, NBC News, Carolina Beach, North Carolina.
And help continues on its way to thousands still seeking shelter from Florence in the Carolinas. That includes more than 30 Red Cross volunteers from here in Northeast Florida. Many dispatched midweek to areas of Virginia down through Georgia. Our Alex Asidas spoke with one of those volunteers who's taking care of folks in a hard-hit area of North Carolina.
Floodwaters already consuming areas along the North Carolina coast. As Florence drenches the area, boots on the ground there to help, including David Anderson from North Florida. He's set up in Wayne County, about 90 miles north of Wilmington, ready to go to another shelter to help tomorrow.
For me, it hasn't been too bad because I've had electricity everywhere that I've been so far.
He's been volunteering for the organization for 14 years and says this is his 5th deployment to help with storms. We wanted to know about the people he's helping and how they're feeling in the shelters.
There's some that, just don't understand and have to explain to them why they have to stay in the shelter. And a lot of them don't understand how long they got to be there. And we can't really answer that because we don't know.
Back on the First Coast, Kelly Duffy and her family got to Jacksonville on Thursday. Native to Charleston, South Carolina, the family has left everything behind before.
We've had our share with hurricanes and threats of hurricanes.
They picked the First Coast since it wasn't too far and knew they wouldn't be heading into the rain. The Duffys have been in touch with their neighbors who got the all clear to return today.
We have had power, no loss of electricity, so I think we'll go home to basically what we left.
Expects to be home by late next week. As for the Duffys, they'll pack up and head home Sunday morning. Alex Osiris, First Coast News, on your side.
And a big part of rescue efforts is coming from FEMA, as more than 1,000 FEMA urban search and rescue personnel and canine units are also in the region searching for people who are trapped or missing. And dozens of JEA workers are in the Carolinas tonight, helping to restore power to the more than 1 million customers without electricity. 50 JEA trucks left the west side this morning, and On Your Side's Bethany Anderson was there, finding out how those workers will help those in need.
The hardest thing is being away from your family, for me.
Matthew Stafford is no stranger to areas devastated by storms. He's worked with Jacksonville Electric Authority for more than 2 decades. Last year, he went to Puerto Rico in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria.
It was a lot, and getting supplies and stuff was rough because of it being on the island and at first not having a lot of flights going in and out, so everything had to be shipped in on barges. It was pretty rough.
Now Matthew is among 50 workers and trucks from JEA heading up to restore power in the Carolinas, assisting other power companies like Santee Cooper.
Santee Cooper was here for us a year ago, almost same day. We had 60 of their guys with us.
Christopher Richardson has been on many storm duty trips. He has this message to those waiting for help.
Oh, we're coming. We're heading your way. Hope you're ready for us.
We're coming. Just be patient. We're going to work. Help us out with your generators, hooking them up properly. Take care of our guys, and we'll take care of you.
Reporting on the west side, Bethany Anderson, First Coast News, on your side.
And meanwhile, the Coast Guard is helping as well. Earlier today, Guard District 7 in Miami shipped off hundreds of bottles of water and other relief supplies. That all, of course, is on its way to the Carolinas. And tomorrow, On Your Side's Juliet Dreyer will join Customs and Border Protection for a flight over North Carolina to survey the damage from the storm. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night at 11 for that story. And even when we're not on the air, you can get the latest details on the tropics anytime using our Hurricane Central section at firstcoastnews.com. Hurricane Central is packed with information including live radar, storm tracks, and the latest headlines. Back here on the First Coast, tickets. Who needs tickets? They are still available for the Jags home opener against the Pats. How you can score them and how much it will scour your wallet. And by the way, if you have these numbers, you can have season tickets pretty much forever. Winning Powerball numbers 19, 18, 24, 34, 2, and a Powerball of 3. That'll get you $147.5 million worth of tickets.